And we're live. We are back, guys. Week 5, the Week 5 video coming off the double elimination week. We've got two new guys to the video this week. We've got Jack Potter and Max. Say what's up. Should be a fun week. We kind of have... Normally I'm kind of rushing through this because I'm doing it during the workday, but it's 10 p.m., so we're not really in a rush unless you guys want to go to sleep. But let's jump right in. We got Ashton Genty finally had a good week. If I was an Ashton Genty owner, I'd be like scratching my head for these first 3 weeks, but it finally came to fruition. Huge pop-off game from him. JC chopped. That was, to me, unexpected. Obviously, when you have an injury to one of your best players, and Malik Neighbors is just, you can't really control that, but then no one else really stepped up for him. So kind of an unexpected going of JC. JC was our runner-up in year 1 and didn't have a great year last year either. So 2 years in a row, JC kind of fallen short. And also, double elimination week, Joey. Funny enough, you guys know that we've been saying Joey doesn't really pay attention too much to the league, and last night, or Monday night, when he had RJ Harvey get the touchdown and he almost passed Jake and chopped Jake, we were all freaking out, and we're like, we wonder if Joey's even paying attention to this. Does he know what just happened and how intense this is? Next morning, Ryan showed me a text from Joey, and it was, "Hey, why is my roster locked? Why can't I do anything?" We're like, "Dude, Joey, you got chopped. It was a double elimination week." He woke up and saw that he wasn't the lowest score and thought he was alive. So poor Joey, he's gone. 16th, had a good run, didn't spend any money. That'll usually do it. All right, one of the new segments. Go ahead. Yeah. No, please. I said jump in. Oh, he did. Is that the only bid he made that you're aware of? He checked waivers and put in a bid. I feel like usually how it's tended to be for people that aren't that active, whenever they do put in a bid, they bid way too much. Usually. I remember Tom, year 1, he would just pop in every once in a while and just drop 30 on a mediocre player. Okay. Just because they have no concept of the money because they're not doing a bunch of trades or putting a bunch of bid, following what people are bidding and paying for people. Anyway. No, Max, well, a little bit actually. We'll get into that. Maybe a little bit of an overpay for Mahomes this week, but Mahomes, really? I thought you overpaid by a lot for Mahomes compared to the. Well, yeah. But solid stuff. The Grim Reapers. This is a bit that we do throughout the year. We finally have two to point out, meaning the Grim Reapers are players that are on eliminated teams starting lineups. So Xavier Worthy obviously got injured week 1 and ended up with 0 points. Huff got eliminated with him, and now JC gets eliminated with him, and then also Bills D, both on Huff's and JC's team. Kind of just coincidental, I guess. I mean, you as we've found over the years, these Grim Reapers kind of just tend to be random. They have to be good enough players to be started, but usually it's not their fault. And if it's a player that gets injured, then they're not going to ever be on, if they're out for the season, like Neighbors. Neighbors isn't going to be a Grim Reaper. No one's picking him up. So it's kind of random how players end up on this list, but I like to look at it anyway. So Worthy and Bills D. Yeah. It wasn't his fault necessarily that JC got chopped. It's there. I mean, they didn't do good enough against the Saints this week. That's one thing to call out, I guess. That's crazy. right? And I guess the only good example I think of a Grim Reaper over any of the years was last year with Mark Andrews, where he just sucked for like 6 to 8 weeks. But people know what Mark Andrews can do, and it's not like the Ravens have like a ton of mouths to feed in the passing attack. So people kept thinking he would be good and kept starting him, and he just kept killing people. So that was probably the best example we've had of a Grim Reaper over the years, where it's not just coincidental. Oh my gosh, I could see that, and he's on Walker's team now. That'll be interesting I think that's a good point. There you go. Yeah, volatile players like that. If I go out, could be Jamar. Like, no one's gonna not start Jamar, but like he sucks right now, or just the Bengals suck. Any Bengal, Chase Brown, they're doing nothing. So, but top 25% of last week. Max has been on this page pretty much every week. 2 stars now, or aka $12. Now that we have the $6 per weekly highest score going on. Average score of this group, 125. It's up 3% from last week. So the ceiling keeps rising as it should. James, Fleming, and Mitchell in this top 25% group as well. Bottom 25% and the chops, Joey and JC getting chopped. Jake, I messed up the formatting here. Jake getting the trash can, and then Jack and Walker getting ice cubes. Jack has bounced up and down through the first 4 weeks with 2 stars and 2 ice cubes. That's kind of funny. Average score of this group was 84. That was from what Ryan and I were talking about in last week's video. We were like, 75 probably gets you safe this week. Maybe it's a double elimination week. Maybe it'll be a little higher. But the JC died with 81 and Joey 84, 83. Like, it's kind of crazy that I think the floor will probably go back down next week given the bye weeks and all the injuries. That's kind of the way it goes. And this was the double elimination week because there were no bye weeks, and to jump way ahead, our next double elimination week is week 13, which is the next week from now where there are no bye weeks. Those weeks in theory should have higher floors, but yeah, that's the story of last week. And this is another new one. If you were here, Potter, you saw this from last year. Max, this will be new for you. But the little box and whisker plots, throw it back to good old like high school statistics. But every dot here is a team and your score for the week, and it shows the distribution. So the box in the middle is like your interquartile range, I think is the official term, but the 25th to the 75th percentile of scoring. So if you're in there, you're in kind of like the main core, and if you're outside, then you're, this is generally going to be your top 25% and your bottom 25%. So yeah, you can kind of see where you are. Max, you're up there a lot, as you know. You've only been in the box once, and that was right there. Still in the upper half. Yeah, you've been swiping the credit card early. Not a lot of money left, but there's kind of, obviously, I think Ryan and I kind of touched on it last week. There's philosophies to have with it. Like, if you have the players, then technically you do have the ability to make money at any given point. You can just trade a player and get fab. So, doesn't mean you're ever out of the mix, spending wise. Yeah, you get more. Mm-hmm. I agree agree 100%. Last thing I'll say on these is if there's ever a dot outside of the box and the whiskers, that would imply it's an outlier. So, I mean, Matt, when he got eliminated, this is the lowest score anyone scored ever in the history of the league. That obviously ended up being an outlier. Very rarely we'll get an outlier above everyone if you have that strong of a week. But if you ever do, it's a huge flex. So, all right, Thursday night. Normally I'd say tonight, but this is tomorrow night. RIP my team, by the way, because Purdy and Pearsall, two decent players on my starting lineup, are both out. I don't know why to me this feels like an important game. Like, it's a divisional game. The Niners just came off a bad loss. Like, I understand not wanting to injure your guys further on a short week, but like, come on, the Rams are kind of the team to beat in the division, it feels like. So they're pretty much sitting everyone. Jennings is also out, so it's really just Christian McCaffrey. I think Jack Colston is starting. Tonges or Tongues, however the hell you pronounce his name. Rams D should go off with how banged up the Niners are. I think it's Mark that has the Rams D, but the Rams also Stafford, Kyron, Puka, Devontae, lots of guys that can get points. So yeah, any of you guys have anything on this game? I'd believe it. I'd totally believe it. Yeah. No, they are out. Purdy's out, Pearsall's out, Jennings is out. So I picked up Kendrick Bourne. There is a world where I just whip Kendrick Bourne into my lineup, and that'd be a huge roll of dice. But could be fun at the same time. To be determined. All right, Monday night. It's a nifty little matchup. Jaguars, Chiefs. Jaguars coming off a nice win against the Niners. It's in Jacksonville, I'm pretty sure. Chiefs are favored by a little bit. I feel like that's kind of crazy that they're only favored by 3.5. That was my first thought. But I guess it's in Jacksonville. And the Jags aren't looking that bad. Mahomes, Pacheco, Worthy, Kelsey, Hollywood Brown. Maybe there's a Juju or a Tyquan Thornton thrown in someone's lineup. I'm not sure. Trevor Lawrence, ETN, Tootin, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, Brenton Strange. So lots of guys in this Monday night game could come down to it. I didn't look if anyone has any like two people in this game. But Potter, I know you have Tootin. That's the extent of what I know. Oh, there you go. Well, that's big. That's big then. You'll have a lot riding on two very volatile players on Monday night. Like Tootin's. Yeah, that's going to be... You're probably going to be sweating it out in that game unless... Dude, you've been sweating it out 2 weeks straight now. But it's also fun to come out on top. Yeah. Jeez, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to kind of beat the Ravens as like dominantly as they did. I know Lamar got hurt later in the game, but I feel like the Chiefs are better than I probably initially thought this year, and I think their defense is fine. I think this will be a real test for the Jags because the Jags are kind of all over the place. They seem like they could be good, but they also could be terrible on any given day. So we'll see what they've got, but it should be a good game. Potter will be sweating it out for the third week in a row. Max, by the way, you've never has once understood the feeling of sweating it out in the Guillotine League yet, but maybe 1 week it'll happen. All right, our rankings, week 4, Max at the top, James second. Others in the 400 club, Mitchell, Ryan, and Jake. Jack barely missing that, but those that are averaging over 100 points a week at this point, JC and Joey getting the chop. And now 15 remain. And this is where we're at. I guess to call out the low scorers, Mark and Potter, you both are the two lowest surviving teams at this point, averaging I don't know what number that would be, 330 divided by 4, 83 points a week or something like that. So it's not the best place to be, but you're here, so that's all that matters. Let's do it. The economy. Yeah, this moved around a lot. Jake, first of all, hoarding 17% of the market, 146 fab. We're now down to 859 left in circulation. We've already cut the economy in half from week 1, mainly because the 5 eliminated teams, 4 of them had 100 fab, and I think JC had 80 or 90 something. So almost 500 just from teams getting eliminated because they didn't spend. And then this past week was a huge spend week. I think almost 200 or so fab was spent on free agency. So it was a big spending week, and obviously the double elimination, lots of fab just going into the abyss. So teams that didn't spend this week, like me, Johnny, Jack, or no, who's the other one that didn't spend? James is the other that did not spend, just kind of climbed these rankings just by not spending because so many people did spend or died. Jake doing the opposite. Jake got more fab by doing the risky trade to trade Gibbs on Achan on Monday night. So that's where the economy is, and Max all the way down here. Fleming also spent a bunch this week, so you two hanging out at the bottom. All right, the bye weeks this week. These are the 4 teams on bye. Ends up being a lot of people, namely Packers and Bears players are the big ones. I mean, Bijan's a big one. Steelers. I mean, no one crazy. DK, Jalen Warren / Gainwell. So 4 teams on bye. I think there's 1 week eventually where there's 6 teams on bye. I don't actually know. I just from years past, there usually is 1 week where there's 6 teams on bye. That's a pretty crazy week in the Guillotine League. On deck next week, we got 2 teams, just the Vikings and the Texans. The buys really bring a whole new element into the league because now you start trading players based off of when they have buys. You might, if you're desperate, you might trade your player currently on buy to get someone who's not on buy for in theory, a lopsided deal, but it gets you a player you can play now. So it really, and if you're a team in a safe situation, you might be willing to trade for a person on their buy just to stash on your bench. To improve your long-term success in the league. So there's a lot of elements to the bye weeks now on top of injuries starting to pile up. So this is where it gets fun. Fun times. All right. Fantasy Pros versus Sleeper this week. It is Mitchell. It's not really a fair assessment. He has 2 starting spots not filled. So he'll probably come closer to Johnny once he does. But for now, he's looking horrible. Other guys in the red this week, I said Johnny, Potter, Ryan, Jake, and Walker, and then just kind of this clump right here that I'm also a part of, just hanging around, just barely not in the red, meaning just one platform finds you a little better than the other. For me, Sleeper likes me a little more than Fantasy Pros, and then of course Max. Max, you're way up there. You're going to be up there you've been up there, and you're going to stay up there for probably the next couple weeks unless you do anything drastic. So yeah, you're looking pretty solid. Now our next week versus rest of season, this is where we see a couple different ones, namely Mitchell, because obviously we're looking vertically. Mitchell is far and away the worst team this week, but his team is actually pretty solid. He's gotten 2 flames already this season. He can score. I mean, Bijan, he just went and got DK, and he has some other decent guys, but just so many of them are on bye this week that he is really screwed this week. But if he can make it through, his team's fine, long term. If anything, he's through the worst week he's going to have for the year. He probably goes multiple more weeks if he can survive this week. It's a big if, though. Johnny and Jake are 2 of the worst looking teams for rest of season, but Jake has a crap ton of fab, and Johnny has some as well. I'm also not looking great, but I do have fab Fleming's one to point out because he actually doesn't really have much fab, and he's not looking great for rest of season, so he doesn't have a lot of room. He doesn't have a lot to work with. Max, of course, you're still up there. David moved his way up with some trades this week. I forget exactly who it was. He got we'll get to it. It's on a slide, but he improved his team this week. Potter, you're right around the middle of the pack, so looking all right. All right. And now you have fab too. I mean, it'll show up on the next slide. Like, you are up there on the fab relative to the rest of the league. Yeah, I think you're third in fab. Actually, yeah, you're one of the only two in the green this week. Good thing Ryan's not here because he roasted me for not putting the trend line that I said I was going to put on here. The basic line is just top left corner to bottom right corner. That's your line. If you're above it, you're up and to the right of it, then you're in a good spot. So there's not that many teams that are there. I'd say me, Ryan, Max, Mark are like right on the line, and that would put David, Cooper, Jack, James, Walker, Potter, Jake above the line. So yeah, well, apparently it has me as a weaker team than Jake. And he also has a crap ton more fab than me, so he's in theory a much better position than I am. But I still feel like I have enough to work with, and I just need to survive this week. I think there's enough teams that are just like decimated by injuries and bye weeks that I should probably be able to make it by. Although I'm now one of those teams decimated by injuries. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Johnny, Fleming, Ben. I guess you could say Mitchell are those that are in theory below the bar, below that line. All right, so in summary, we've got no one's a 3 this week. We got Jack, James, David, Cooper, I think, in the top right. Really, the only thing that distinguishes them from Max is fab. So hence why I have Max here. Max, you can hate it all you want, but 5 fab's not a lot to work with. Yep. That would only work if someone is starting Trevor Lawrence, or if they're desperate before Sunday night. They make the move. Who's Sunday night this week? Anyone know? Top of your head? Top of the head? I got it. 2 seconds. Patriots, Bills. So May and Josh Allen. I don't think anyone's gonna. Maybe someone could up. That's Johnny with May. Unless Johnny's desperate and thinks Mahomes is that much better than May. I personally wouldn't. I'd call that a wash. They both have the chance to score a lot. Yeah, we'll see. Those Monday nights are always gonna be fun. Potter, you've moved your way. I guess you were. Where were you last week? Do you know off the top of your head? Were you top right? You were in danger zone. Okay, so you moved out. Ben's moved his way out as well. Walker was top right. He's moved down. And to go back to these two, David and Cooper, new additions to the top right. David, like I said, some running back he got. I forget who it was. And then Cooper did the big trade with Jack to get Justin Jefferson and Jordan Mason. Loses Drake London, but ultimately made his team better, if you ask me. To be honest, there's a case to be made that the rest of these 7 teams should all be bottom right. Like, I don't know if Fleming and Johnny are really in that much of a worse situation than us 5 over here. Mark, I mean, to me, if you're over here, there's a specific reason I have in mind of why you're here. Mark, he's getting, what's his face back from suspension? Rashee Rice back from suspension in a couple weeks. Andy's got a moderate amount of fab. I have the second most fab in the league. It just feels weird to say. But my team's pretty on the weaker side right now, and injuries this week, so I think if I can get by it, decent long term. Ryan also has fab and he has someone injured or something. Bucky's Lamar. 2 studs, much more key than my 2 guys, I would say, in Purdy and Pearsall. Hammies are tough. Yeah, I mean, I think... Yeah, I don't like Stroud, but... quarterbacks are fillable, I think, on the fly. I've done this every year. I've done this league. I fill in random quarterbacks until I finally land on a decent one midway through the season. So I think I'm more concerned, honestly, about the Bucky thing. Bucky should be back next week, but it's much harder to fill in a solid RB1 than it is to fill in a starting quarterback in your lineup. Although, of course, it will be. Yeah, at least for this week, right? And then Jake, really, he's just there. His 0.5 comes from the fab. He just has a crap ton of fab, so that's why he's there. Mitchell, his bye weeks are just crazy this week. He also has Terry McLaurin not on bye, being one of his only key players not on bye, and he's questionable, and he was out last week, so we'll really be monitoring that for Mitchell. He's in a tough spot this week. Ben's up here in the who knows section. He's moved up from the danger zone. He made his team a little bit better this week, I would say. Spent some of his fab. All right, Max, you're first again in order of last week's standings. We'll go right into the Mahomes $21. I think my thinking there is, one, we just saw Potter. You traded away Dak for $3. If Dak is $3, there's no way Mahomes is $21. But that's to each their own, I guess. I think when you already have, I guess Mahomes is he your starter? You starting him? Oh. A trade is pending. Hold on. News alert. David. I knew it. I was about to text Mitchell and be like, dude, go get Hawkinson from David. When I was looking at David's team, he just went and got McBride. Oh, that was one of the big things David did, is got McBride. But I was like, now he has Hawkinson, a pretty decent tight end on his bench. Tough matchup as we'll get into, Vikings versus the Browns this week. But Mitchell just needed somebody. So David is getting Kyle Pitts and 4 fab for Hawkinson. So there's one of Mitchell's 2 missing roster spots. He now has Hawkinson in. Okay, solid stuff. Mitchell, respond to these people. It is what it is. Maybe he didn't like him. Maybe he just hated your offer so much he just didn't even want to respond to it. But back to the Mahomes. Yeah. All malice. This. But back to the Mahomes, what most are going to call an overpay. I think, in a vacuum, maybe at this point in the season, Mahomes for 21 isn't that bad. But when you already have your starting quarterback locked in with Justin Herbert, this purchase brings you down to 5 fab, I think I question the move, but I'll give you a chance to give me to give a reasoning. Slater? Right. Yeah, I mean, if he keeps doing what he's been doing, it might not be an overpay. But I just think, yeah, there's pretty much, if you were to try to go around and offer everyone in the league to give you $21 for you to give them Mahomes, I think zero people would do it. So I think that's also my thought, is like no one would pay that for that in a trade. Like maybe you get 5, maybe like 8. I mean that maybe there is someone out there that would pay more than those numbers, but like that's what I would pay at most if I was in need of a quarterback. But okay, I didn't. Who was that? Who bid 17? Yeah, and I think you brought up actually an interesting topic. Is I mean the roster's lock when there's 4 teams left. The team that gets eliminated and gets 4th, and the team that gets eliminated for 3rd, they do not drop their starting rosters. So in theory, there's 4 quarterbacks that are going to make that Final 4, and in theory, that's Lamar, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and then one other. And I don't actually, off the top of my head, I think Jaden Daniels is definitely a candidate. You could say Mahomes if he keeps it up as a candidate. If Burrow comes back healthy and actually plays, that's a candidate. Maybe that's a reach, but I mean, last year he was like the QB1 almost. So it is interesting who that 4th will be. Jaden Daniels makes the most sense with the rushing upside. But yeah, maybe Mahomes is a Final 4 quarterback. We'll see. We will see. Oh yeah. 24. I thought, right? 24, I thought. Maybe not. Yeah. Yeah, Hampton was one at the time I thought was an overpay, but he's turned out, he like just turned it on right after you got him. There's always going to be some rookie running backs like end up as a top 5 or top 10 running back, so he very well could do that. If him and Genty probably. You're killing it. First time in a Guillotine league, and you're crushing it. All right, James's team, another really strong team. I had him as going all the way back. I think probably tomorrow or Friday, Saturday. I think this week I want to do a draft regrade because now the dust kind of settles and we know who was a good pick and who was not. Generally speaking, there can still be some late season surprises. But I'd be interested to see how I regrade James's draft. I had him as an F on the first go, and like he's been decimated by injuries, and even then, his team from who he drafted has been good. Like Puka and Garrett Wilson. I was not high on Garrett Wilson, mainly, but he's been solid. Puka, Josh Allen have been really leading the way for him. It doesn't matter who he throws there at running back. Charbonnet is very serviceable, and then the RB2 has always just been some whoever guy that he can pull off of waivers for $0. In this case, it's going to be Xavier Scott. For the Vikings against the Browns this week. Somehow that's not the worst RB2 out there. That's funny to me. But, well, 2 worse than him. 14th and 15th. We'll see who it is. We'll keep an eye on that. I want to see who's 14th and 15th here. We'll get to it at some point. And yeah. Mm-hmm. He stepped up. I've been very impressed by James' team. James, I don't know if you watch these. I think he maybe sometimes watches these, but good workout there, buddy. All right, Fleming's team gets his first flame of the year. Pickens and Gainwell combining for over 50 points. Pretty crazy. He spends big. Not as big as Walker, but he spends big in free agency this week. Debo for 33, Swift for 24 on bye, and then Goff for 4, Schultz for nothing. He now has 12 fab. Not a great place to be. And we also saw in the graphs, somehow the analytics also does not think his team is one of the top half of the league in strength, even after spending all that fab on guys like Debo and Swift. So probably overpays. I forget what the exact number is that he overpaid for both of those relative to the next highest bid, but he definitely lost some fab there, left some fab out there. Gainwell, great week. If he ever needs to be the starter again, I think you probably expect good production, but I don't think he'll be the starter once after the bye and Warren's back. So other than that, it's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, Pickens, Debo seem to be like the studs on this team. I think that's Nick Chubb at the RB2, and that he's kind of losing the job to Woody Marks as we speak. Goff, he's all right, serviceable for now. Laporta, decent. Philly D, also good. It's the deeper flexes where Fleming's team gets a little softer, but he's looking all right. I think he's okay. Just having 12 fab at this point isn't great. And I was the next bid too. Did I bid 19? I wanted Debo. Swift. I thought I could slip in the double elimination weeks, like the pool of players being bid on was so much larger. I think I bid like $4 on Swift, and I had an inkling I was going to get it because he's on bye. So if you go onto waivers and like it'll show only this week, it'll slip by some people. They won't put a bid on a player that's on bye because they don't dig any deeper than what it shows for like the projections this week. So I was hoping I could pull a fast one there and get Swift for like dirt cheap, but it's okay. We'll live. I ended up getting pretty much nobody. All right, Mitchell's team. Another flame this week. 2 flames in the season. Bijan's been cooking for him, but now he's on bye. Mitchell also splashed big for DK last week, and now he's on bye. Let me just pull up Mitchell's team. It is like a brutal amount. I mean, Kyle Pitts, who we just traded away, on bye. McLaurin, questionable to play. That's tough. Where the heck is Mitchell's team? There he is, up at the top. Yeah, he needs a running back, so that's the last thing he needs. Odunze. Odunze's been insane this year, and he's on bye. So, I mean, Odunze has 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks. So literally every single one of his best players is on bye. McLaurin's been underperforming even when he's been healthy. It's a tough look for Mitchell this week. If he can squeak by, I think he's fine. He just needs to survive this week, and that's going to be tough. But I'm gonna give Ryan so much shit when Mims scores a touchdown, because Ryan was saying I'm out here fleecing Mitchell. I'm like, dude, he gave me $3. Like, maybe you say that's a guy that just be on waivers anyway, but guarantees having him, and now he has a stack. So stack. Yeah, I mean, Mims is someone I drafted. I liked. I thought if you look at what Mims did at the end of last season, I thought he could just like keep rolling with that. But like the Broncos just like are having a huge like sophomore slump with Knicks right now. It feels like it's there, like they can be good, but they clearly aren't like clicking like they were at the end of last season. But if they can get back to that, I think Mims gets way more involved, and Franklin maybe. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a big test. Yeah. Yeah, he does. Oh, one moved. He had 9. Who moved? I want to know who it moved to. No, he has 9. It shows 9 for me. Maybe. Anyway, yeah. I'm not voting for him, but I want to go against the grain. I'm not voting for him. So, also, no, who's to say he doesn't make a big move on like Saturday, which is after the voting is closed. So, he's got a lot of them. Make a deal with the devil. Give Max some fab. All right, Brian's team, huge Romeo Dobbs week with the 3 touchdowns. Now he's on bye, but Brian's a little bit decimated this week with we already mentioned the Lamar injury, the Bucky Irving injury. So Ryan's definitely looking a little weaker this week. I mean, he added JMO through a trade, and Jalen Tolbert seems to be like he'll get a good amount of volume with CeeDee Lamb out. Keenan Allen scoring like every week, it feels like. So it's and he goes and gets Kamara in a trade. That helps. His running backs are looking pretty bad without Bucky, and I think Sean Tucker's going to be his RB2 at least currently. So Stroud as well. I'm not a huge fan of Stroud, but I think he can get him by. Ryan's got a very whatever team this week. I think he can get through it. He has a decent amount of fab, and then he gets his injured guys back in a couple weeks. Might be for Lamar, but I think then he'll be fine. Devontae's solid as well. All right, Johnny's team. Johnny was just like a week ago being like one of the favorites, or 2 weeks ago the favorite to get eliminated, and now he pretty much does nothing, spends no money, and now he's no one's voting for him. So I think maybe that's just influenced by Mitchell's team getting all the votes. But Johnny's team is the same as it was a couple weeks ago, or last week even, and all he did was add Kendre Miller into the starting lineup, which is that's something, I guess. I mean, he got some carries last week, but I don't know if that'll happen again. Kind of weak. Yeah, weak at the RB2. Waddle is his best receiver, apparently. Marvin Harrison Jr. might finally be out of the slump that he was in to start the season. He's passed around in a lot of trades this year already. But we got Juwan, Judy. What is that, Sterling Shepard in the flex? The analytics has... Oh, no, Demarcus Robinson. He might be... That would be wild. I would respect the hell out of that if he actually starts Demarcus Robinson, who last week had 1 catch for 20 yards on 38% of the snaps. I mean, I have Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne is a better play than Demarcus Robinson just by he's gotten more snaps. But I don't know. Also TBD still if I start Bourne. Maybe I'll just trade Bourne to Johnny if he wants a better Niners receiver to throw into his lineup this week. Hey, Drake May's solid though. He's the 4th best quarterback on the year. They're just the Bills D is not it. Yeah. 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 I agree. I think Johnny can keep riding him, stay alive, even with a pretty unimpressive rest of the lineup. I think he can get by. I think it's worse now for Waddle. I think Waddle's bad. Now he gets the most coverage. Like now he gets cornerback 1 coverage. Like I think Waddle's cooked. I wouldn't touch him. That's just my take. I've always not been a fan of Waddle, so this just sure. I mean, maybe against Carolina, but long term, I don't want to in a league like this. I don't want Waddle on my team. Get him away from me. Same with Marvin Harrison Jr. Except last week he looked a little better, but like Johnny's got some guys. I guess it's just these 2 guys. I don't like those guys. But they can do it. It doesn't mean they can't do it. They can't get it done on a given week. All right, it's Ben's team. I think this is a team that improved a decent bit week over week. Spends big to get Jahmyr Gibbs and Dak from you, Potter. Gibbs and Dak for it was like $73 I think combined, and then he got rid of JMO for $12 to Ryan. So the big things are adding in Dak and Jahmyr Gibbs into their starting lineup. So those are both mega improvements from where he was last week. He's still pretty soft at receiver. This is Quentin Johnston. No way they're saying Quentin Johnston is the 8th best wide receiver 1. Who's smoking crack making these lists? Like 8th? You're telling me you can't find 8 receivers better than Quentin Johnston to put. That's crazy. Dude, there were the clips from camp, like even like training camp in like August or July, like clips of him just like dropping like passes that are hitting him in the chest and he's wide open. Like, dude, I was like, oh, it's the same Quentin Johnston. God. Apparently. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, QJ. I guess there's no more QJ curse. Maybe it'll come back around. QJ was another one on the Grim Reaper list last year. Yeah, QJ, Shaheed, he's got as the wide receiver 2, and then Travis Hunter in the flex. I don't know if that's actually who he's starting. I'll give it a quick look. He is starting Pacheco. Wow, the analytics says Hunter over Pacheco. I feel like Pacheco's just like a better floor, but whatever. He's going with Pacheco. I think I'd agree with that. And then Bill Krosky, weirdly, I don't know. I thought he'd become the bell cow. He just hasn't become the bell cow, but he's still gets work. So yeah, that's right. It's getting split around between Chris Rodriguez and McNichols, so it's like a whole three-way. No. I could see. I mean, someone's got to emerge. Like, I think Krosky still is the most likely to emerge as the main guy throughout the season, but for now, it's not looking like anybody's owning that backfield. All right, David's. Oh yeah. It was, by the way, I will say, I mean, I think it feels like an overpay this late in the season to be trading 70 for anyone. There's only like what 4 teams that have 70 fab. Like you're not going to see a bigger trade than 70 fab for one player ever for the rest of this season. Yeah, I think you needed to do that. He is. So that. Yeah, we will see. All right, David's team. We already mentioned that Genty popped off, and really, I think I did the math because you can see his second highest score was Brees with 14. Like the rest of his team was not crazy impressive last week. So if you just take like 15 points away from Genty, I think David gets chopped. So like if Genty puts up 18 instead of 33, he's dead. So that's a crazy way to look at it. Actually, 98. Losing score was 84. Yeah, you can take 15 away and he dies. That's a crazy way to look at it. It's always, but if you ever have a player score 30 for you, you're probably just already by default safe this early in the season. I was already going to start looking into like if you have one player over 20 points, are you safe? Like, is that all it takes really? I don't think exactly that, but 30 for sure. This early in the season, you're going to be safe if you have someone put up 30. David goes and grabs McBride for 31, and then now just happened during the video, trades away Hawkinson to get Pitts and $4. So get some money back in his bank. This is back up to 42. I think a bit of an overpay for McBride. I don't know how much of an overpay it actually was relative to the bidding. Max, do you have that handy? I think I bid 15. There you go. Yeah, and I think I want to circle this back around. I wish Ryan was on here because I completely disagree with what Ryan said in the chat about how you'll spend more in a trade than you will in a bid. Like, no one's trading 31 for McBride. No one's trading 21 or whatever it was for Mahomes. Like, no one's doing that. The bids are going to go much higher. I guess as Ryan said, to his credit, and I kind of agree, like the middle tier players, I guess maybe you'd call McBride a middle tier player. He's in a higher tier tight end, but a middle tier player. Mahomes was more of a middle tier quarterback. Like if Gibbs is on waivers, is someone bidding 80? I mean, maybe 60 plus is probably at least, but I don't know. 31 for McBride feels like a lot. There's some more examples of that'll happen this week. Like we already went through Fleming, like 33 for Debo. I don't think anyone's trading 33 for Debo. It's just a lot of fab at this point. Or people just haven't realized how much the value of fab has increased week over week because almost 200 is just gone from circulation from 2 teams going out with a lot of fab. 2,000. We're at 800. Yeah. I agree. Because desperation plays a role in trades, like leverage that you have over someone. Like people know Mitchell's desperate right now, so they're probably gonna. Well, at the same time, there's 2 edges of this for the Mitchell. Yeah, it's like there's 2 edges to it. One, people know Mitchell's desperate, so he'd probably pay a lot for a good starter. But the flip side to that is they also know that everyone is aware that Mitchell's in a bad situation, and then he probably has multiple offers, so that demand should drive numbers down because Mitchell can just take the best deal he thinks he's getting if he's getting a lot of offers. So two edges to that. But yeah, desperation absolutely plays a role in trade sometimes. Okay. Let's keep it going. Cooper's team. I think Cooper's team improved a lot this week. We talked a little before, Max and I talked a little before we started recording about this big kind of blockbuster trade he did with Jack, where he gets Justin Jefferson and Mason. Jack gets London, Benson, and 10. This Nico was it Nico really for 18? I must have done some math wrong here. I think it was Nico for 28. I think I forgot to add 10 more into this for 38. He actually lost 38 in the grand scheme of these two trades. So my first instinct was, wow, I'm loving Cooper's side of this by a mile. Even if Jordan Mason is not like the full starter when Aaron Jones comes back, I think he's earned himself at least like half of the carries. But Justin Jefferson, I think, is significantly better than London. They both have questionable quarterback situations, but I think Jefferson's better. And then Trey Benson, of course, we knew he was kind of hurt. We didn't know he was going to go on IR, so that ended up being even better for Cooper than we initially thought. And he only had to spend 10 fab. So I was taking Cooper's side by a mile, but Max, I'll give you the chance to give your take on it and to kind of put it more into perspective for me as well, to make me see how this is actually more balanced than I originally thought. Mm-hmm. Right. Baker's gonna play. Baker's a dog. He's yeah, they have in their defense. Shout out, Mark. I know you've been loving the Seattle defense. I don't care. I love Ibuka so much. The fact that he's his flex is crazy. Ooh, maybe a little foreshadowing there that maybe it's Godwin's week. You have Godwin? There you go. I love Godwin. He was my baby last year because I got him like later in the draft and he was just so freaking good until he got hurt and then I was sad. But yeah, we will. And then he also does Nico for 28. So I think Cooper's in a great spot right now. He's got a lot of studs. I think some like multiple potential endgame players. I mean, you would say definitely Saquon and Justin Jefferson. You could potentially throw Nico and Igbuka already into that list of players you could start in the championship. Yeah, 28. I think it's fine. I like Eagle Manor in the flex too. By the way, I know we mentioned earlier we were looking out for who are the 14th and 15th RB2s. Did we miss one? I'm gonna go back real quick. Oh, what? Oh, Sean Tucker. Wait, is this Bucky? And that's why he's at 14. Okay. Well, really, it's Sean Tucker. Oh, it's Bijan because he's not playing. Okay, so 2 players that aren't playing. So really, no, it is who was it? Yeah, Xavier Scott is the worst RB2 this week. Okay, glad we cleared that up. So yeah, I think I like where Cooper's at. He's got still a moderate amount of fab, so he's looking pretty good. All right, Potter, here we go. You got Myers for $6. I think that's a pretty good value for a guy you can start this week. Harvey for 3, Ramondre for 2. Bills D, you picked up one of the Grim Reapers, and they're in your lineup, are they not? Oh boy. They've got good matchups coming up. Wide receiver 1. Third most, 80. No, I have second. I have 85. He has 80, and then Jake has 146. Yeah, I went from middle of the pack to second just by getting 3 fab for Mims. It's crazy how the sort of economy shifted this week. But yeah, you got a bunch of fab for Gibbs, and you also moved on from Dak, and now you have Jaden Daniels, so that's where you're at. If you can get by, 80 fab can get you a lot now. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny to see Jacoby Myers is by the analytics the wide receiver 1, not Brian Thomas or Chris Godwin. But it is what it is. the recording thing right now. I'm hoping it's picking up your guys' audio. I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking shoot somebody. Because my desktop. I'm about to go. I think there's a chance that it is picking up your audio. It's picking up my audio 100%. I have a different thing that's the desktop audio. Normally but it's completely blank right now, even when you guys are talking. But weirdly, my mic is moving when you guys are talking, so I don't know if somehow it's... Okay. Hold on. Let me do a quick... I don't want to stop recording. I'm going to do some troubleshooting. Actually, I'm going to pause the recording. Alright, wait. Are we starting? We going? Yeah, we're back live. Okay, I really hope everything that Potter and Max have said throughout the video has been picked up. We've been going for over an hour, and they've been saying great things. Fingers crossed, but now they're here. I guess, guys, say what's up in case this is the first time everyone's hearing your voices. Max and Potter.
Hey, guys. Ooh, it made a funny sound.
Max, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
I'm about to feel really bad that I just wasted an hour of their lives, and it wasn't recorded. We will see. I'm not 100% that it did not pick up their audio, but I'm leaning towards that did not have your guys' audio for that entire first part. A lot of good things were said. Their guys, imagine they were saying great things when I was not talking in those gaps. Okay. Anyway, we were just finishing up Potter's team. I think I just want to at least want to give you a chance, Max, to fill in what you said about this trade, because I feel like that was a big topic. Maybe I'll spark notes it and you fill in what I missed. But essentially, you guys heard what I said about this trade. I thought it was lopsided towards the Cooper side, but the Browns, the Vikings have the Browns, and Jefferson and Mason are both on the Vikings, so they got the Browns this week. It's a tough matchup. Then they got the bye next week. There's a chance Mason has just an abysmal week. Justin Jefferson, most people would say better than London. They both have interesting bad quarterback play to some extent. But yeah, then they're both on bye. Tough matchup this week. Am I missing anything big, Max, on why?
Yeah, like I said, we'll find out, in 2 weeks if this was a good deal, because he's got to survive the bad matchup this week, and then all three of the buys for Mason, Jefferson, and Collins in week 6. And he's probably going to put himself in a position where he's going to have to flip one of those guys in order to keep himself going. So we'll see what happens, but it'll be interesting to see how he kind of navigates all that.
Yeah. But ultimately, I think Cooper has put himself in a better position than he was last week. So, good work for Cooper. And Potter, I think we wrapped everything up here. Anything else we wanted to touch on with your guys?
Oh, just a lot of mid. Hopefully it squeaks by.
Yeah, crazy they have Justin Fields in there over Daniels. Oh, it's Dallas.
Yeah, anyone against Dallas is gonna.
That's actually a tough choice. I feel like. Are you actually
doing
this?
Did we ban loans? Can we loan a player for like a week? Because I would be very open to loaning away Fields.
We have banned loans. We don't think that is in good spirit of the competition.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But if you want to, you might be at the right time to be selling Fields. Like,
if anyone wants to pay $21 for him, I'd love that.
$21. It's the Mahomes price.
Yeah,
the market value, right? I don't know.
Yeah, if Mahomes and Fields are the same in your eyes, then yes, that's the market price for Fields.
Oh, and in case we did not have their audio at the beginning, the whole thing that Max said about his Mahomes pay is that there's a world where Mahomes is a end game quarterback, and if he ever needs ever find someone desperate on a Sunday night, Monday night game, could probably just sell Mahomes or Herbert, one or the other.
Phone lines are open, but yeah, no. The mentality again is, you're going up against 4 teams at the end. Starters don't get dropped. So you're going up against Allen. You're going up against Hurts. You're going up against Lamar, Jaden Daniels, one of those guys. And it looks like Mahomes, based on the way he's playing, is going to be one of those end game quarterbacks that you just ride out the rest of the year. Again, the offense looks like it's turned a corner since week 2, and Mahomes is starting to throw the ball a bit better, more touchdowns. So a lot to look forward to in terms of future production. And there are a lot of injury concerns on the offensive line. For Herbert, his performance has gone down every week. So especially with Joe Alt going out now for an extended period of time. Yeah, it's a bit scary to kind of see what's going to happen with the Chargers. Maybe they figure it out, but there's also a chance when you're down 3 starters, your offensive line just doesn't get better until those guys come back. And high ankle sprains tend to have a long recovery time. So it was a hedge against that too.
There you
Paid a
go.
lot for him, but happy to pay every dollar. He looks like he's going to be worth it. But I could be eating my words 2 weeks from now.
We'll see. We will see. Shout out Tyler Warren, by the way, here on Potter's team. He's been a stud.
Oh,
Good draft. Good pick. All right, Mark's team. We were shouting out the Seahawks defense earlier. They've been really solid. Who the hell? That's Bryce Young. Yeah, with Jordan Love on bye this week, he's been great for him. He goes and gets Scadaboo. It's Scadaboo, right? Not
So,
Scadaboo.
yeah.
Okay, Scadaboo. It's fun.
Yeah, it's Scadaboo.
Scadaboo. 28. I think I had the second highest bid on him, but maybe. I was up there. I wanted him. It just seems like a fun dude to have on your team. A dog. Him and Kenneth Walker now as the running backs, pretty solid. Everywhere else, not looking great. Bauer's good, obviously, but hasn't really been living up to drafting him in the first round type of capital that you had to invest into him. I don't even think has he broken double-digit points yet. Maybe
I'm looking. He has once, and it was week 1. Other than that, it's
no
been
touchdowns.
6, 7, 7.
Yeah.
The last 3 weeks going into Indy, who's got a tough defense.
And he's questionable.
So we'll see if it gets better for him. I mean, really, again, it all depends on how Geno Smith plays. I mean, Bowers, there's no questioning how talented he is as a player, but it seems like he's having a harder time kind of overcoming the quarterback deficiencies that he had last year as well. But it's tough. I mean, because he's a guy you have to start every week, and at tight end, it's you got a little bit more flexibility there because tight ends don't score a ton of points anyway. But you're just kind of stuck in a tough spot here.
Yeah, I don't think Bauer. It sucks when you have that guy on your team that you have to start, but they're struggling. I don't think Bowers is as bad of a person in that category as I feel like Jamar is right now, or there's probably some other good examples of guys that you just know you have to start, but you don't love it, and you also can't really trade them because their value's at a low point.
Bryce Young is a scary play too, and
he said Brian Thomas. Yeah, Brian Thomas is a great one. Good example.
But Bryce Young's a scary play this week. T. Higgins is also one of those guys that you feel like you have to start every week.
You do.
And he's been
Chase Brown.
Invisible. Same with Chase Brown. I mean, they've both been invisible since the Burrow injury, and he's got both of them on his team.
I think Ridley's a guy like that too. You kind of have to start Ridley, but you don't love it.
It's scary. I mean, they're going up against Detroit, man. That's a freaky matchup for those two, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. I mean, you're going to be running into a buzzsaw, and Jake Browning just doesn't have it. If you think it's bad for Chase, it's a million times worse for Higgins.
Guys, I'm willing to put a little hot take out there, and I'm willing to eat my words come next Sunday. But I foresee the Bengals are not going to win this game, but I think the offense is going to be okay. Like either Jamar or T is getting a touchdown. It's just going to look better. We're going to get the run game going a little bit. We're not going to look as trash as we just did these last 2 weeks.
Well, you got to go up against Aiden Hutchinson, and then next week, Micah Parsons in Lambeau. So you can block those guys. Maybe you got a chance.
It's going to be bad, but I think the offense is going to find some sort of rhythm in some way. There's no way it stays this bad. They're going to figure something.
Be off topic, but are you guys going to get are you going to trade for a quarterback, or are you just going to ride with Browning?
I'm good riding with Browning here. I need him to see. I need to see him have a bad performance against a bad team, a bad defense. I'm not calling the Lions. The Lions are a pretty good defense. Packers are a great defense coming up the week after. We're just getting slammed with Broncos defense. Vikings defense is I feel like better than people give them credit for, and then we got the Packers. It's a tough schedule right now, and it'll ease up. Let me look at who it is after that. Then it's the Steelers, then it's the Jets, and the Chicago. None of those are bad defenses. I don't feel like we play a bad defense until New England in Week 12 or Miami in Week 16 or Baltimore. We play Baltimore later, obviously. It's a tough. I think someone broke it down that like it was Jordan Palmer, if you guys know that guy. He's kind of like a quarterback coach. Carson Palmer's younger brother. He's coached Browning. He analyzed the Browning stuff, and if you only look at dropbacks where a receiver was open and he was not immediately like blown up by a defensive tackle or someone on the line, he completed like 13 of 17. And that was all of his completions, actually. All of his completions came only when a receiver was open and he was not immediately just blasted. Week prior, he completed 100% of his passes where a receiver was open and he did not get blasted. So I actually think Browning's okay. Like, I don't think throwing like Jameis or Russell Wilson or I don't know who the hell else you can get that seems like they could do better. Long story short, we'll see how he does. He'll tank the season.
We got
if
another
he's bad,
trade.
then
Oh wait, no, that's not a trade. Oh no, we do have a trade. Somebody traded. This is a big one.
It is. Oh shoot.
Yes.
No
Mitch
way.
just traded for James Cook, and Jake just got Bijan at 15 fab.
Jake just got more.
Jake win.
Jake just won the league. Jake needs to die. He lost James Cook. He needs to die. Like
yeah, and he traded Bijan's on a bye.
I know.
Okay.
He needs
Have
to
we
die.
talked about Jake's team yet?
No.
Next?
No. He's next. He's like coming up. Perfect time.
All right, let's talk about Jake's team.
Holy crap! It's getting. Wow.
He's got a lot of confidence in his guys. That's a big one.
The only way that becomes okay in the grand scheme of the league, Jake has has no reason not to just run the table on the league with how much fab he has, if he survives this week, or he spends it before the game starts. Maybe he does that, but he just gave the person in the biggest terrible
he basically
situation.
Saved Mitch. I got to change my vote now.
Yeah, well, it won't do it. Yeah, holy. That's crazy. I mean, James Cook is great. I mean, I'm not saying the fact that he gave Bijan and Fab is maybe a little crazy, but if you're desperate, you're desperate. That might have just saved his season. But now Jake has a chance to do a lot with that. Holy, wow, that's crazy. Okay, let's move it. Let's move on.
A great move, Jake. Gotta say,
could be a great move, Mitchell. I mean, on the surface, it seems like no, because you're getting
Cook's the RB1 of the year.
Cooks is the RB1 of the year, so you can't really say you're getting a worse running back.
No, is that sustainable? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd say so. As the receivers aren't productive at all. I mean, you get occasional tight end touchdowns from the 3 tight ends in Buffalo, but it's all going through Cook right now. He's running great. His efficiency's great. He's just been awesome. I think this is just that's a hell of a trade to just come in while we're still doing this.
Wow, these are some great. Let me process it for him.
Already begging.
Wow. Okay, exciting stuff. All right, my team. A lot of yellow across the board, and this is taking into account that Purdy and Pearsall are out. I feel like it's always good when you have yellow across the board. Like, it just means you're not terrible anywhere. You're just good enough. Hunter Henry's my best player by position. Tight end 1, guys. I drafted him, so I'm going to give myself a star for that one whenever I do a draft grade. Otherwise, pretty mediocre all around here. Jamar, guy you just have to start. Apparently, the analytics selects Wandale as my best receiver after Jamar. And then Khalil Shakir, Kirk. No Pearsall this week. No Purdy, so I've got Kyler in there right now. I think I'll be okay. I'm not loving my team at all, but I have Fab, and I think I can get by. Chuba, Tony Pollard, they're just floor plays really. Neither of them are popping off. It feels like, but I do like the Indy defense this week. I'll give them a little shout out. I'm benching the Broncos defense against the Eagles.
You need a big day out of Moody Murray. I mean,
I do, and he's been pretty mid so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. I mean, you're just kind of skating by. You're dancing with the devil every week, especially with Chase. I mean, Chase is an absolute freaking anchor for your team now, and nobody's gonna want to trade for him.
Anchor in a bad way. I feel like
anchor in a bad way.
Yeah.
Anchor into like dragging your team down. and you're not. I don't think you're going to be able to get rid of him unless you drop him. I don't think anybody is
No
going to
one's dropping him. Like that's
trade.
never
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
happen.
You're
But
stuck, and you can't bench him. Nobody's going to trade for him,
well, I
so
can
he's
take an
just.
extreme underpay for him.
You
But like,
could. You absolutely could. He's just so scary, and they've got 3 tough matchups in a row coming up against Detroit, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. It's gonna just be brutal, and you're just gonna have to skate by. A lot of this is riding on Murray and Hunter Henry doing what he's doing. Um, but yeah, I mean, your team, you got a bad luck with injuries and some trades, unfortunately.
bad luck with being an
But
idiot and trading away good players. Like
yeah, that too.
ETN.
You got some fab, right? But now you got the fab hoarder adding another 15 to his 146 or whatever he had before. So you're going to be in a tough spot trying to bid against somebody like that. That's you got to whale just who's going to throw out dumb amounts of fab for the guy he wants, and that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think I'm feeling decent this week. I don't think anyone's voted for me, although I'm kind of surprised by that. I feel like I'm bad enough someone could, but for now I'm clean. All right, Walker. Walker was a bit active in the free agency and trading. He spent every last dollar he had to get A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, and Nico Collins for a combined, like, what is that, 80-something, almost 90? Yeah.
And then he traded.
Then he netted $2 on Nico. He got 28 for Nico in a trade, and then got 29 for Kamara to Ryan. So he gets 57 back in his pocket, and he ends up getting A.J. Brown and Worthy and losing Kamara. So I guess worth it.
Yeah, you're not going to go broke taking a profit.
Yeah. So
$2 more than you had.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess he's that's where he's
He'll
at.
be fine.
Got a lot of receivers now. His running backs are a little shaky. I think that second running back there is Chris Rodriguez, as we've already talked about. He'll get some carries.
Yeah, Hurts and Olave's actually been very, very good with the low quality targets he gets.
Yep.
He's I think behind Puka, he's got the second best target share in the league, which is a surprise.
Through 3 weeks,
for
he
sure.
was number 1 actually, but now he's number 2.
I think he'll be fine for a little bit. He's probably going to have to try and move up. He's got to get rid of AJ Brown, man. That guy's a landmine this year.
Well, he just spent 34 on him, so he must believe.
He must. Yeah, I mean, he's got the stack.
The stack.
He's got the stack, but that stack's been worthless this year.
Yep.
He's. I don't know. If I was him, I'd get rid of Brown for that. 34, man. That is a lot for a guy who's been.
It is
not great.
That was. I think I did the math. I think he overpaid almost 30 fab between those 3 bids. So like 30 fab that was just unnecessary. Like he could be at 80 fab right now if he made better aggressive bids. But it's impossible to be perfect with your bids. It always feels great when you outbid. Sure. When you win the bid and it's by 1, that always feels amazing.
And then the Lad McConkey pick too. That's got to be one of the most disappointing fantasy outlooks this year. I mean, in terms of buzz, it doesn't get much worse than McConkey.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of guys. I mean, Xavier Worthy already a Grim Reaper already on the year. We just talked about earlier. If you guys missed it, if you didn't hear Potter say it, but he thinks A.J. Brown could very easily become a Grim Reaper this year because he just keep wanting to start him because of who he is and who you know he can be, but he's just bad right now. Olave
volatile, he could
very volatile. So is McConkey. So is freaking tight end there, Kincaid. Volatile guy.
He had 1 catch for 29 yards and a touchdown or something like that, and those were his only points on the day.
Potter, you off, or you were going to say something?
Sorry, Potter.
Oh no, I don't think I think that wasn't saying anything. No.
Something about volatile players. Okay, yeah, you just got a lot of volatile guys here with Jalen Hurts holding it down. That's how I look at it.
It could bounce real bad for his team. He might actually be a guy I vote for. I might have to look into that.
Yeah, gotta investigate that. Jags D against the Chiefs. What are we doing? Jags D has been pretty good though, to be honest.
They've been really good. A lot of turnovers.
All right. Jack's team, the other end of the trade with Cooper. We already kind of gave our 2 cents on this. We'll have to just honestly wait and see how it pans out. but my first reaction was, Jack, what are you doing? But we'll see. He picks up that Tonjes dude for the Niners. In theory, he's like should be the highest targeted player on the team potentially. Corum, Michael Carter. He might even be starting Michael Carter, or maybe that's DeMarcado right there in his lineup. I saw that they're both projected like 10 points. It's like, what the hell is that? Well, that seems high.
It doesn't sound like the platforms know which running backs can get most of the work.
No, it's got to be DeMarcado though. He was clearly the next in line.
You'd think so. You really would. But Michael Carter had a nice run at the end of the year last year when Connor missed a couple
Did he
weeks.
really?
He had a nice run at the end of the year.
Let me look at that. Let me look at that game log.
He had a few opportunities.
Michael Carter.
Yeah, they just signed him to the active roster.
He was practice squad.
Yeah, so if you look at last year, week 16, 17,
wow,
and 18, he was 7.3, 9.1, 13.9.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think we're going to learn a lot about what happens after they play. This one, it's a 50-50 shot, and if you pick the right guy or not, and if you didn't, you're just kind of SOL.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. I mean, I'd probably still have to pick the guy that was ahead of him on the depth chart in DeMarcado, unless they just don't like DeMarcado as like a first and second down back, and then they use Michael Carter there, and DeMarcado stays to the third down, which seemed to be what they were doing with Benson and DeMarcado. So, good points. All right. Receivers, really strong. JSN, Sutton, Diggs. He has someone on Drake London, who we just traded for on bye.
Three solid receivers.
Yeah, really solid. Really solid 4 receivers when London's back in, or it was Justin Jefferson. It was a solid 4. It's still a solid 4 with London in there instead. Darnold gets you by at this point. And then Brenton Strange and Tonjes. Is it Tonjes?
Tonjes, yeah.
Tonjes, yeah. They'll get you by this week. Cleveland D, we've talked about it. They're good, so they should continue to be good against the Vikings this week. That's in what is it? Ireland? London. Okay, London.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right, Jake. We're on to Jake's team minus James Cook, who's been his stud. So
he's playing with fire a little bit this week.
He is playing with fire. He still has Javonte Williams. Like his big name guys that he would expect a lot from are Javonte Williams. You could argue Woody Marks he should expect a lot from this week against the Ravens. But then he has all of his Ravens guys. He has Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, and Bateman, who I would imagine at this point he's starting as well, which he did last week. He started all 3 Ravens. Yep, he is starting. No, he's not. Bateman's on the bench. He's got Woody Marks and Waller in the flex. But he's throwing Ray Davis in the starting lineup over Rashad Bateman. That's currently what's happening, at least. And then both tight ends, Mark Andrews and Darren Waller. There's a lot of volatility there. With pretty much everyone on the lineup except for Javonte Williams and maybe Woody Marks.
Yeah, this is a big gamble he's making this week.
He gambled last week. Trading
he did, but you keep gambling, you're going to lose. And I mean, you're going to start Geno Smith after he threw 3 picks, man. Who's the matchup? That's brutal.
Against Indy too, but he doesn't have another option. He was
tough game.
Why does he still have Russell Wilson on his team? I don't know.
Also, at this point, we should be charging Jake a 20% tariff on any fab trades he wants to make. So, if you just an idea.
Yeah,
146 is crazy.
Now it's 161.
Now it's 161. Yeah, Jake, if you want one of my guys, you're paying 15% over the market price.
Seriously, this is when you you almost put a target on your back by having this much more fab than other people. Like people might just boycott trading with you, just let you die with the fab. Because
I'm saying league-wide tariff.
It's the only way this has happened every year. A team with a ton of fab that also seems like they have a decent team. Although without Cook, I would say it's not a decent team.
And listen, I got to admit, he's got stones after what he went through last week, being 0.5 away from getting eliminated, and he trades away his best player for fab. I mean, that's a ballsy move for sure. I mean, I got to respect it. If he goes down, I think everyone will be pretty happy, but you're point 0.5 points away and you still had James Cook and Javante. Now you take James Cook out of the equation, your guys are mostly the same. It's the scary position he's put himself in this week, but if he
It is.
survives,
It's
good on him.
massive dice roll that like could result in him winning the league. To be honest, if he survives this week and can bid on some guys to fill in the lineup next week, but yeah, risky move. Got to respect it to some extent.
I want to toot my own horn, but I did pick Jake to be he was my vote for the poll before that trade. Because he had so many Ravens guys on the roster and Lamar not playing, I just thought it was so volatile, like we're talking about.
I agree, and I voted him last week. It was not right, but I respect your vote this week.
He's got an interesting tactic. I think you got to dance the line to be good.
Max, to fill you in on some context, some funny thing that Jake was doing last year. There was maybe a 5-week stretch where he was starting both Broncos running backs, that being Javonte Williams, who was struggling majorly, and Jaleel McLaughlin. Those were his RB1 and RB2 for like 5 weeks straight. And he was starting 2 Browns receivers, those being Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy. But when Jerry Jeudy wasn't like putting up good numbers at the time, like he was constantly getting from those 4 guys like barely like 20 points and like somehow surviving with the rest of his guys. It was a wild thing to see that he just kept doing it week in and week out and not changing anything.
He's doing it something similar again too, especially now that Lamar's not going to play. Those Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews plays are even riskier, especially because the Houston Texans have a legit defense. So we'll see how good Cooper Rush is able to move the ball against those guys. But his team freaks me out right now. I would not want to be where he's at today with the team that he has, but with the fab, I mean, is it worth potentially cutting your own head off for a guy who's on a bye this week? You never know. We'll see. If he survives, he probably made the right move. If not, I think there's a greater than
I think objectively,
maybe 20 or 30% chance he gets cut this week. I mean, it's crazy.
Makes me feel a lot better. I don't care who. F it. I'll start Kendrick Bourne tomorrow, and that sounds fun now. I want to have someone to watch on Thursday night. All right, Joey is dead. R.I.P. Joey. He didn't do much, but he had a good run ish. Ravens D did him in -3, Njoku 2, Kareem Hunt 5. He was the 4th straight spendless team that got chopped. Now there's none left that remain. Everyone else is active and does things. He almost got saved by R.J. Harvey in the last second in that game. That would have been electric. But R.I.P. to Joey. He did get a flame before he went out. JC also with a flame and a trash can before he went out. Last week getting the trash can. This week getting cut. It says Johnny. I think it's Jonnu Smith, AJ Brown, and Malik Neighbors. AJ Brown, what the hell is that? And Neighbors getting hurt. Can't do much about that. It was 93 fab. I know I was throwing around numbers earlier. It was almost 100. There's a lot of fab that just went into nothing this week from Joey and JC. He was one of the top teams, I thought, based off how I analyzed his team, and I don't think that many people disagreed with me. I think Ryan said he didn't like JC's team as much as I did, but Ryan's a hater. Thought he was pretty good, and got chopped. That's what one injury and one dud from one of your studs will do for you, really. So, sucks. It happens. We'll see you next year, JC. All right, here's the power rankings. Max, congratulations. I don't know if I ever had you at 1 before, but you're now at 1, even with the 5 fab. As I said, I definitely weigh these rankings more towards who you actually have, not who you could have. Jake, I'd probably move him down to 15 had I seen that trade. Maybe you could say he'd still be at 13 just because of the fab. It gives him some kind of value, but you just can't. Your team. I mean, he has Bijan, but Bijan's on bye. I don't know how much I'm going to take bye weeks into these power rankings. I'd probably keep Jake where he is, actually, because he has Bijan. Going back to the top, Jack moves down 1. I think his team is still solid, even though I didn't love that trade, but I think Max's team's better. James has just been a consistent, solid team this year so far. Cooper's the big riser. I think his team got a lot better with that trade. But as we said, we'll see how that trade pans out between both Jack and Cooper. David rises up as well for getting McBride. Who was I was talking about a running back earlier. He has some new good running back along with Genty. I'm just blanking on who that was that he got. No, Jonathan Taylor. He already had Jonathan Taylor. He got Baris last week. Okay, so he added in some guys. He's looking solid. Ryan, after that, honestly, I think those were like my very clear-cut top 5, and it gets pretty gray after that to me on who was 6. I couldn't figure out who to throw there. Potter, you were almost there. You're at 7. I don't think I was going to throw myself there. Ryan, give it to Ryan. Adds Kamara. He's got some guys this week. If he can get Lamar back and Bucky back, he'll be good, but the injuries currently make him look bad. Me at 8, Ben 9, Fleming. Ben being a big riser, we should mention. I mean, he spent some fab, got a little better. He's middle of the pack now. Fleming, Walker, Mitchell, Jake, Johnny, Mark. There's my rankings. Anything stand out to you guys? Any big disagreements?
Jake obviously goes down a little bit more now.
Who does?
Yeah, I really think Jake's at the bottom.
Jake.
But Bijan, he has Bijan. I know where you're looking at this.
Power rankings for like this week, right?
Yeah.
That's fair, but like it's more of it's not just of this week. Like I'll still look at like with Ryan this week. I'd have Ryan lower if it was just this week. But
yeah, I mean today again, Bijan. This week, Bijan really adds no value to Jake's team. So I don't know if considering that is something like that. You trade away the RB1 for a guy who's on a bye this week who honestly might not even be scoring better. But you get 15 fab, which is great. So right now this week, it's really all you got is the 15 fab to show for it, and that's really kind of freaky for me. I mean, everyone's team I'd be okay with, but Jake after that move is really scary. I would not want to be him this week.
Yeah, he'll be sweating it out.
But if he survives, I think he jumps quite a few spots up the power rankings because he'll throw his fab out there if the right team gets chopped and buy up all the best guys with little to no resistance at all.
Yeah, I think weeks like this are fun. At first, I thought it was like, okay, Mitchell's screwed, so like I feel safe just by the fact that Mitchell's screwed. But now I feel like Jake is screwed. So I now I think there's 2 people. I don't know if I feel like Mitchell's in the mix even with Cook, but now there's multiple people that I feel like I can bank on being worse than me. That I don't, as a team, like kind of in the middle, not looking great this week. I don't need to panic yet. I can just ride it out. As long as you can ride it out, the fab only becomes more and more valuable as you hold on to it. But you can't die with it. So I think it puts me and some other people, maybe Potter, maybe you feel the same way. You can hold on to that 80. You don't have to like spend it before this Sunday.
Yeah, I hope not to spend it this week.
Yeah. So makes the week interesting. All these injuries and all these buys really throw a wrench into things. This is when it gets fun. All right. Yeah, I think this might change around a bit. We did have one vote for Jake. That was you, Potter.
That was me. Running up. Boy should switch over to Jake.
I had my vote on Ryan with the whole Lamar and Bucky thing. You got to vote for yourself. Cooper's got a vote. Most of them are on Mitchell. Who's voting for you? Who's got you in their sights? I'm getting voted now. Hold on. Who's voting for me? Max, get out of here. Max, you missed a couple votes, by the way. I've noticed. I keep track of who votes for who every week, and I noticed a couple weeks you've missed some votes.
Yeah, I'm changing it to Jake right now.
You're changing it to Jake.
So,
yeah.
Yep, I switched to Jake.
Jake or Max and Potter right now. Switch to Jake real time. I think I'm gonna hold my ground on Ryan. I want to have a unique pick. Although Mitchell is also voting Ryan with me. All right, this is gonna be fun. Jeez, dude. Good. Just props to you if you're watching this video and you watched an hour and 40 minutes of us talking with the first half, not including the 2 other people on here's audio. So, but this has been fun. We're more just kind of hanging out and talking. If we ever do these at night, I feel like this is kind of how it's going to be. They're going to be a little longer. We're not rushed. And I'd love to get more people in here to get more voices, more opinions, more stirring the pot. I love it all. So thank you, Potter and Max, for hopping in here for the first time.
Yeah, boys, good time. Good luck this week. Max, you're my unspoken enemy in this league now. I hope you know that.
Yeah, I'll keep it. I'll watch my back.
Always looking at the top, so that should be a compliment for you. But
well, only at the top, but it's only week 5.
So,
I'm not.
Max, I will say, forewarning.
I'm not going to get too excited.
Every team that has ever been in your position dies before the Final Four. I don't know why.
We'll see.
No one's ever been able to maintain a strong team the entire season, ever.
Yeah, I've been lucky so far, and we'll see how long that carries me. But
Actually,
like I said, it's only week 5. I'm not going to get excited.
I want to backtrack because I want to say Jack Colston year 1 he won. I want to say his team was actually solid the whole year, but it felt like there's always been really strong teams that go out unexpectedly that don't make it.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
So I'm excited, guys.
Well,
it's gonna be a fun week. As always, don't get chopped.